welcome back to our amazing little experience. Is how I would describe it. Yeah. So should we hop back in?
Yeah, I mean, I there's nothing really that I need to defend so far. It seems like it seems good. We're good.
Yeah. So far, it's been pretty good for this game.
Um,
Um. All right. Well, then you'll have no issue if I just continue. Then
yeah.
great. Okay. Then assault incident inside a small freighter. A fight broke out between two women. Sounds of struggle attracted
Mm-hmm.
the attention of a patrolling guard. He hurried to the scene just as one of the women fell to the floor, with the other holding a pipe. In an English courthouse, Phoenix Wright and Maya Fey were waiting for a trial to begin, though Wright had not expected to stand trial. Fay wondered if the jewel thieves' story appeared in a nearby newspaper had anything to do with the case, but Wright insisted that it should be a simple textbook case as they were only here on an exchange with Legal League of Attorneys. As they were talking, a Miss Darklaw at the Owlcote School for Young Women entered the lobby with Wright's client, a student named Aspella. Darklaw explained that Aspella would be pleading guilty and handed Wright the case files. Aspella said little, but as Darklaw left, Aspella whispered, "I'm not a witch."
Objection!
A couple of things. First thing, how did she manage to... How did Darklaw manage to convince the legal system that she was a
Mm-hmm.
teacher at the Owlcote School for Young Women and that Aspella was a student?
Because that was someone else's real credentials that she stole because they didn't remember their old identity.
And and the credentials happen to have her the same name, Miss Darklaw?
Well, you see, yes, because her name's actually Eve.
So she chose the Darklaw name like 3 months ago?
10 years ago or whatever, whenever she
So
became Darklaw.
so what I'm hearing is 10 years ago, when she decided to change her name from Eve to Darklaw, she thought, I better choose. She was what? Probably 12 at this point. Um,
Mm-hmm. That's exactly the age that you would pick Darklaw.
so she thought, I'd better make sure to choose the name of this teacher that we have here, um, just in case something happens.
It just worked out, you know. You're 12 years old, you see the name Darklaw, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm Miss Darklaw." And then she goes back, and she's like, "Oh, as a teacher. Well, that's convenient." It could have been anything. It could have been anything, but it being a teacher just happened to be part of the
Okay,
identification.
yeah, fair enough. Second thing, why did she want Aspella to plead guilty?
Because she didn't want Aspella to go back.
But she wanted Layton to go back
Mm-hmm.
and
And she
solve the
wanted.
mystery, which required Aspella there to solve it.
Did it require Aspella there to solve
That's
it?
what Carmine said about 5 minutes ago.
And Carmine is correct.
He was correct about everything else. And also, they did in fact need Aspella in order to solve it.
So she was testing Layton, or sorry, Phoenix.
She was testing Phoenix, who she hadn't
She was,
intended on bringing in.
um, yes. You see, she needed to just test them, just to get them out of the way, I guess. Hold
And
on,
so, and getting them out of the way,
hold
Aspella would
on.
would be guilty.
If Aspella was guilty of being a witch, then her conscience would be cleared.
Except it wasn't
And
being
she
a
would have
witch;
and she
it
would
was
have had her
assault.
revenge on the storyteller.
I see. She would have gotten revenge.
Yes, by being like, "Look, I got your child. Boom.
I got your
Gotcha.
child
Owned."
locked up.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's just okay. This was out of like a vengeance rage thing, and
Yeah.
she was sort of like, well, I was gonna do this whole thing revealed everything to everyone. But what if instead I just get her arrested, huh? Pretty good.
Yeah, what if I just make her go catatonic
Yeah, like in
in
prison.
jail?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good. Um,
Anyways, they're friends now.
Aspella also. Also, didn't Darklaw say at the beginning of this that she wanted to shake like Aspella basically out of the trance? So how was this gonna do that?
If you make her get locked away, she can't go back and get rehypnotized,
Fair enough.
even if you want
Sure.
her to.
Yeah.
You can't
Okay.
just send
And
a boat.
sure, Darklaw doesn't know that being catatonic in prison is a bad idea.
I mean, tell me how many years she's lived outside of that
Yeah. No,
village.
you're right. She has not. Yep, you're right. I'll give you that. Um, I was gonna say that Aspella, when she's in a trance, does insist that she's Bezella, but that's not till the end of the game. She does, when in a trance, insist that she's not a witch at the beginning of the game. So I'll give her
Yeah.
that. There was no time to inquire further as the trial went underway. According to prosecutor Flinch, Spella Cantabella had entered the freight illegally and been caught by a crew member attempting to steal a PC Badger plush doll. Cantabella had then allegedly picked up a steel pipe and knocked the crew member unconscious, only to be found and arrested by a patrolling security guard, Johnny Smiles. Guard was called to the stand to testify about what he'd seen. He'd claimed that he had seen nothing out of the ordinary other than the fight. Wright asked him for more details on his patrol, and he explained that he'd started patrolling at 10:20 p.m. after a show he was watching had ended. Flinch then submitted a photo of the... Hang on. Objection.
Okay.
When do shows... Why would a show end at 10:20? Wouldn't it end at 10:30 or 11? This is TV era. This isn't like on
Is
demand.
that really the objection?
Yeah!
Shows had like 40-minute episodes, and then, you get two of those back to back, and you fuck up your timing.
No, Claire, they didn't. They had hour-long episodes because of commercials.
Or like 45-minute episodes. I remember the TV guide and scrolling through it and going through all the channels, and they weren't always lined up. Sometimes they were fucked up.
Okay, sure. Sure, fair enough. Okay.
That one I'm actually arguing.
Okay, fair enough. Flinch then submitted a photo of the crime scene, which showed that one of the crates had been broken, apparently by the pipe, and another crate had been forced open. Wright confronted Smiles, asking why he'd not mentioned these in his testimony. The guard testified that he was not very good with the light controls, so the lights had been off, save for an emergency light. He also mentioned that he had his trusty pocket torch, which was submitted as evidence covered in his chocolate-covered fingerprints. Smiles continued, saying that he had seen Cantabella standing right in front of the crew member during the final blow. However, this contradicted the medical report, which stated that the victim had suffered a blow to the back of the head. Wright asserted the witness was unreliable and that his client was innocent. That was when Smiles, unwilling to stand for this blemish to his long 6-month career, it's funny, submitted his secret weapon, which he had even hidden from the prosecution. After apprehending Cantabella, Smiles had confiscated a tag that she had apparently torn off of one of the PC Badger pluses. At this point, Flinch reminded Wright that his client had pleaded guilty, but Wright replied that he had no intention of backing down. The judge declared a 15-minute recess to set up Flinch's second witness. During the recess, Wright and Faye found Darklaw reading the newspaper that Faye had been reading before. Darklaw saw them and told Wright that it was in Cantabella's best interest for the trial to be over quickly. Wright kept this in mind going back to the trial, but was determined to save his client from false charges. Why did you want the trial to be over quickly?
You don't want her to go catatonic in trial.
She was already catatonic in trial.
Well, it's not a very good place to be catatonic.
She was already catatonic.
Yeah, so, just get
Oh,
it
she wanted to
over and
limit
done
how
with.
long she was catatonic there.
Exactly.
Even though
In
she
the
wanted her to be
courtroom.
catatonic in prison.
There's less people that you interact with in prison. And
So in Darklaw's mind, okay, yeah, we've already established that Darklaw thinks being catatonic in prison is fine. Sure. Okay. I'm gonna skip through the rest of the trial shit because I feel like that's also
Fair.
that's all just shit. I'm not gonna call
Irrelevant.
it a contradiction of why the fuck was she on the boat. It's just a quick question. Why was she on the boat?
she jumped. That's where she escaped to.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Al Dente had a breakdown, blah, blah, blah. She was cleared of all charges, but Flinch lost his glasses. So true. Darklaw thanked Wright, saying that she would have asked for an acquittal if she had known that he could do it. Objection! This completely. Is she lying here? Or is this... Or is it truly that she didn't think Phoenix could do it? But why didn't she ask...
I mean, I don't think she thought Phoenix could do it.
But then why was she
it's
pushing...
Phoenix.
So is she lying when she says she would have asked for an acquittal? Because previously we'd established that she wanted, or at least we were saying that she wanted Espella catatonic in prison. So she lied.
Is acquittal a clearing of the name, or is it just a...
Clearing of the name of all charges.
Well, it's good to get on the other person's good side when you've lost. I think she was lying.
All right. Yeah, fair enough.
Because she's a sore loser.
Cantabella was holding a large book, and Faye tried to ask her about it, but Darklaw replied that she was shy and liked reading books. As Darklaw and Cantabella left, Faye wondered who had hit Al Dente. They decided to leave as well, but then Faye noticed that Cantabella had dropped her book. As she looked inside, however, the book turned by itself to a picture containing the two of them in a medieval town. Suddenly there was a flash and Wright and Faye disappeared with the book falling to the floor. Claire. So Darklaw prepared in advance, and that was how she had the drawing of Luke and the professor in there. But she specifically said it was an accident bringing in Phoenix and Maya. So why did she have the picture in there?
When she said it was an accident, what she meant was like it just so happened that they were like the opposition in the trial. However, they were doing so good that on the break she went and wrote this new entry, so it was fresh.
Oh. Okay, fair enough. And it was fresh. And so how did they get labyrinthine groundwater in them then?
Well, this is the court water was spiked.
Oh, okay, sorry. The court water was spiked. Great point. Great point.
This all makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. Claire.
Everything I'm saying is fine.
Seems fine. All right, we're now in Labyrinthia, Claire. I think your job's going to get so much easier now. There's going to be no contradictions once we're in Labyrinthia. Because everything here is just, oh, it was magic. Okay. Labyrinthia. Herschel Layton and Luke Triton woke up inside a horse-drawn wagon, along with a woman and the wagon driver. Layton asked where the wagon was heading, but neither would give a clear answer, saying that was only one place for the wagon to go. Soon enough, the wagon passed through a gate into a medieval town. Objection! Claire, what's going on with the wagon? Who's the wagon driver also? Oh, this is the old lady from before. Okay, so this is just the wagon from before.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. And let's keep moving. Let's keep moving because I think I know what my next objection is going to be. Soon enough, the wagon passed through the gate into a medieval town. At first, Triton believed that everyone was in period costumes, but the woman who had been with them said that in Labyrinthia there was no outside or London. Triton insisted that did not make sense, since they had just passed through a gate. When they turned around, the gate was gone. The woman disappeared as well, and they decided to talk to the knights. The knight captain found them suspicious and gave them a puzzle to figure out whether they were from the town. Okay, I got 2 objections for you here, Claire. Objection number 1. Why was there a gate and then no gate?
Very easy. You see, the mechanism was set up so that if you're outside of it, it looks fine. No questions asked. But as soon as you cross it, see, they're already spiked from the beginning. But if you're spiked and you leave, you can still go into it, but you would never leave otherwise. Obviously.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, sure. So it's the magic makes them think that there's a gate when they're outside, and then it just sort of
Right.
updates that, like the magic can just sort of update like that, or is
It's
it the
like a
machine?
one-way mirror.
Oh, okay, it's the machinery. Okay, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Or it was a
Second,
gate. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, it definitely was a gate.
it was a gate, and then later on, they were magicked into thinking there was no gate.
Right. They lowered the gate, but because of magic, it looked like there was just a wall.
Okay, so the when they brought them in, they said you're going to believe there's a gate when you're outside, but once you're
Mm-hmm.
inside, you're going to believe there's no gate, just for the drama.
Yes. And that's why Darklaw was with them.
Okay, sure. Which I think maybe you're about to answer my next question, my next objection, actually, which is if they were hypnotized, why did they have their memories of the outside world?
Um, because they're special.
I think I actually do have the answer to this one, and I know I'm not supposed to do the
Oh,
defense's job for you,
well,
but
like any good Phoenix, right? Eventually
but
the
we're trying to find the
prosecutor helps
truth.
the
Exactly, we're
defense.
trying to find the truth. We're
Right.
working collaboratively, just like in real court. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I see this with Edgeworth all the time.
I think the actual answer here is the storyteller and Librellum Inc. never hypnotized them. Darklaw did it herself. And she didn't she wanted them to remember the outside world so they would crack the whole thing wide open.
Right. Yeah. No, that I think that is actually correct because you can decide what people think, but they were never told that information and the storyteller was gone at first.
Yeah. Except I have a new objection.
Objection!
So what we saw was Layton and Luke stuff happen. Okay? Darklaw goes, kidnaps them. Then Espella gets arrested. The whole trial happens. That's probably days. Trials don't just we'll let it be Phoenix Wright logic and say it happened the day after or whatever, right? Sure.
Yeah, it's the same day unless they explicitly say it's a
Yeah,
different
okay.
day.
So same day, or actually, because that was at night, so it's the next day. During the day, she goes, brings in Espella. The trial happens. She kidnaps Phoenix and Maya. She goes and gets Phoenix and Maya settled, and then Luke and Layton enter the town. Did she just have Luke and Layton on ice for like 10 hours?
What do you mean?
Like, she goes and kidnaps them, okay? She
Mm-hmm.
kidnaps Luke and Layton. All of the Phoenix Wright shit happens. She kidnaps Phoenix and Maya, goes and gets them settled in the bread bacon area, right, to make them think they're bakers. Then, only then, at that point, do Luke and Layton enter the town. So there's about a 10-hour window. Where were they in that 10-hour window?
The right stuff happened first.
No, it didn't, because Espella jumped onto the boat after Luke and Layton were kidnapped.
Yeah, and of course by that, what I actually meant, like any good Phoenix Wright game, I'm just gonna completely change my answer.
That's fine. The game does it too.
Yes, exactly. Um, uh, the well, you see, they were told to kind of just wait outside, and so they were in fact told that, just stay here for a bit.
So
Just
she
like,
just
I
kind of
mean, like ring the silver bell, right? And they're
yeah.
unconscious.
So she just kind of put them unconscious in a box, fed them fucking,
Yeah.
something.
Would that
or
be the
other.
worst thing she'd done?
No, it wouldn't be. Actually, it might be because again, her other crime was ringing a bell. So I don't know. She's
Being in a box and ringing a bell is pretty.
It's
They
pretty
weren't in the
bad.
box forever.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just one.
And the box was
more.
for protection, so nothing ran over them.
Very true. One more thing.
Okay.
And this might be just... The answer to this might just be Darklaw's stupid. If she wanted the whole thing to be blown wide open, why did Phoenix and Maya get hypnotized into believing they've been bakers?
Because they weren't part of the equation and she just needed to get them out of the way.
Why did she need to get them out of the way?
To let Layton be full power.
But no.
Power.
No, what I'm asking is, when they become... When she, like... Why did she give them the book? And make them get... Like, why didn't she just go, okay, bye, with Isabella?
They learned too much. They were asking too many questions. You had to bring them in. It's a new era. The storyteller isn't just bringing in consenting people. We now do a new era.
But they weren't asking any questions about it. I don't think they asked any about it.
They did ask too many questions. They were suspicious. It's no good.
Okay, Darklaw's stupid. I'm taking it as Darklaw is stupid.
Yes.
Okay, great.
No loose ends.
Uh-huh. After Layton solved the puzzle, he was cleared of suspicion and the Knights went elsewhere, but not before mentioning that today was a special day. Layton then remembered that Carmina Accidenti had managed to leave Labyrinthius, so he had to look for clues as to what he might have done here. He looked around the main street. There were edited children, blah, 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 puzzle, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Puzzle. Barley told him to shopping areas. Yeah. Felt as if there were more people working at the bakery now, even though he did not recall anyone being hired. They were surprised to find that Petter had not heard of Accidenti, while Petter was surprised that Layton did not know about the event going on North Parade Avenue. The parade. Inside a horse-drawn chariot was the town's creator, the storyteller, who had written more of the story for the townspeople. As he passed, the Knights gave the town folk sheets of paper containing the details of the story. Atmosphere instantly turned sour as the contents told two companions being burned to death by a witch. Triton was surprised that people would be so afraid of a mere story. However, this only drew negative attention toward him and Layton, because apparently everything written in the story would become reality. People began to wonder if Layton and Triton were the two companions, and the Knights decided to seize them, but a girl's voice called out to Layton and Triton, who ran towards her to evade the Knights. Okay, just one or two objections here. Storyteller's here. Whole idea behind the Layton thing was predicated on the idea the storyteller wasn't here, so Eve kind of had full reign.
Right. I mean, he does come back from time to time.
Right. So she did all this under his nose.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's also stupid.
People never told him?
I don't think she told Librellum.
Then how did she do all this?
Sorry, she didn't tell Librellum. I'm asserting this.
So then, if she didn't tell Librellum, how did she do this whole thing? Because there were several shades with her. She was not the only witch.
She was able to just tell them whatever the fuck she wanted because they're able to be controlled and suggestible.
Oh no, they were listening to her.
She was the great witch who gives them the tasks.
I guess he was there writing the next story, sure, so he wasn't aware of what was going on. Okay, fine, whatever. But the second thing here that I wanted to say is two companions being burned to death by a witch. Yeah? That whole situation. Mm-hmm. Storyteller wrote that. Storyteller would not have wanted Isabella on trial as a witch.
Well, did he write that Isabella would be the one doing it?
He didn't. So then how did Isabella end up being the one?
The worst luck in existence. The storyteller should have just gotten therapy.
That's not a defense of this. I guess it's worst luck ever. Because I guess he was setting up fucking what's her name, you know, the Kira. He was setting up Kira.
Yeah.
I guess Darklaw intervened.
Because Kira was there.
Sure, Darklaw intervened, put a Spella in the proper position. Okay. The girl was a Spella who lived the parable. She offered to take the bakery. She was starting to lie low for a while. At the bakery, Layton and Triton met the bakers, Phoenix Wright and Maya Fey. Layton felt they were somehow out of place. They claimed to have been working at the bakery for 5 years. After some introductions, the spell was about to take Layton and Triton to a room. Fey suddenly ran into a problem, so loaves of bread had become disorganized. Yeah, puzzle. The bakery's owner, pair then hurried to a spell's room where they talked about their past meeting. It was difficult for her to remember much, but eventually she remembered that accident he had come to the bakery. He had suspected that there was a secret related to the story, and he had gone to the Great Archive. But that was when he even found a force to escape. A spell also explained to the storyteller the Inquisition and the Order of Knights ran the town. In this world, it was unthinkable that the story might not come true. Three decided to check out the Great Archive. On their way out, they went to Mary's farm. Knights were gone, so the three headed past to the Great Archive entrance. They said it was from the legendary fire that had consumed the town in ages past.
Objection!
Claire.
We know what that is.
No, Claire. They said the whole town burned down.
Right, but it was made of stone.
Was it?
They rebuilt around the stone, didn't they?
I guess this is made of stone. Okay.
And only the wood is burned.
Sure. Okay, you got me. You got me on that one.
I definitely remembered that. And didn't just assert that for no reason.
Great. Letty Mailer, the town courier, was nearby and seemed very busy. Spella offered to help her deliver the mail. Ultimately, she had to continue into the Great Archive. Inside, the three met Dewey. Blah, blah, blah. Riddell. History told the people's status, or wisdom, and power. Yeah. Fuck off. I hate... This is why I am beefing with fandom. Wiki.
Always beefing with fandom.
To their surprise, two of the pages contained not a spell but a message. From a long time ago, the ancient flame had been locked in an infinite vault of books, waiting for the awakening. When the sun and moon, watching over the sage, swap places to show their true form, the door and to the past will open. Once a person of purpose, say city is filled the challenge, the door will be open. Until then, I wait for the time of the awakening.
Objection!
Yeah?
Who wrote this?
Let's see. This is the Grand Grimoire in the library?
Yes.
This was almost certainly Darklaw.
Right. That makes sense.
Or I think it was what's Darklaw's father's name? The alchemist.
Oh, Newton Belleduc.
Newton. Yeah.
I'm gonna say a nice thing about this game, which is I think this message is meant to be a reflection of the game's plot and ending, and I think that's kind of cool. When the sun and the moon, Espella and Darklaw, watching over the sage, the storyteller, swap places to show their true form, the door to the past will open. Right? Once a person of perpetuity, Layton has fulfilled the challenge, the door will be open. Until then, I wait for the time of awakening. Our person of perpetuity may be referring to accidentally, as they say here. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
right?
So cool. This game's great.
Yeah, I am in this one.
I rest my case.
Pretty sick. Main mechanism of an Astera to Flores, fighting the Astera forward downstairs to a cellar containing a mural. If Astera recognized it as depicted legendary fire, to be caused by Great Witch Bazella long ago during a fire festival dedicated to her. Astera then went to close up the library. Hang on.
Objection!
Claire, who made this mural? We thought this mural was so important. when we were playing the game, we were like, this shit's gonna blow the whole thing wide open. There's gonna be a secret area in here. But now I'm left wondering, who the fuck made this mural?
It's probably either sorry, not probably. It was definitely either a Darklaw or a Spella.
Why would a Spella make it?
Actually, no, it definitely wasn't a Spella. I actually think it was. No, it was fucking Cantabella with his I'm gonna make this whole story shit real.
So
She thinks it's a dragon, I'm gonna fucking give her a dragon.
oh, sure.
Which is why it doesn't look like the dragon that Espella thought.
I see. Okay, that makes sense, actually. Yeah. Sure. I thought he would want to, like, cut out everything about the legendary fire, but I guess this makes some sense. Nightfall, with the investigation over, Cantabella invited Layton and tried back to the bakery to say. Doers said their goodbyes to Miss Sayre, who told them they could borrow the Grand Grimoire whenever they wanted. They then went outside and realized that Cantabella had gone ahead of them. According to Dewey, she got to pick up milk from Mary's farm. Layton tried to decide to wait for her. Puzzles. Requesting Wright's presence in court. She had requested Wright. Okay. I actually feel like that didn't have too many things wrong with it. But let's talk about the Fire Witch. We're gonna go probably... Because I can think of one more thing that I really want to object about, so I want to get us
You want to just go straight there?
No, I want to see if there's anything else. Yeah,
Okay.
probably we'll go straight there. I'll do some scanning, you know. Incident, yeah, she was the incantation. Maze was heard. The ground at the rogue's feet erupted into flames that consumed the two, much like the storyteller's story earlier that day. Objection! When we saw how the Shades did this, they had a big boom stick, right? A big lever that went down and exploded stuff. How the fuck did the fucking rogues not die?
Because you were told that you thought it was fire.
No, the fire was real. That was what we were shown.
They burned the books afterwards and said that the fire that they saw was the thing that did this.
What books?
Well, sorry. What are the things that burned?
The men?
Oh yeah, no, they just got replaced.
Oh, so they just grabbed them, then
Yeah.
glued it up.
Yeah, and then made everybody think they saw them get burned.
Hey, can we talk about the fact that the core premise of this game is you're trying to poke out the inconsistencies in specific trials, and that it turns out that all of the trials were manufactured fake shit? So you actually got, like, very few of the inconsistencies. Like, you didn't get the Shades footprints. You didn't get the big boomy device or any residue of gunpowder or anything like that. There's so much shit that was missed. It's crazy. Anyway. She's some kind of memory of it, right? Acting on her behalf as a defender. Sure. She's horrified at the stakes were made abundantly clear. A girl in a cage was pronounced guilty of being a witch and immediately cast into the Chamber of Fire. Cage next. Blah, blah, blah. Witch trial. Crime. Yeah. Remembered everything. Okay, here we go. Wright suddenly had the urge to raise an objection and remembered anything about his life as a lawyer.
Objection!
Claire.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. And this, I think, is our last thing.
Yeah.
If the ink is so good at its job, that 10 years have gone by with nobody figuring it out. Okay? Within the town. Because the ink can last however many months happen between chapters of the story. Between parades or whatever, right? Phoenix was hit with the ink yesterday. And all it takes is for him to say an objection to come right out of it. How does that work?
Body is an amazing thing.
What I'm getting from it. Yeah, no, keep going. I want to hear more on this.
Well, I need to be sure, like, we're making a verdict after this, right?
Yeah, we're making a verdict after this, so I think it's important that we're absolutely certain. So Claire, I need you to tell me. How does it make sense that Phoenix here, okay, remembers all of this in this one perfect moment through the power of his objection?
That's a great question.
Do you have a defense?
The best defense I have is that he's a chosen one special boy, but I fucking hate that, so either way, the game is bad.
Well, then I think this goes to the jury. Jury, chat, do you declare Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney? What is it? Is it Phoenix Wright Ace? Yeah, Professor
Layton versus Phoenix Wright.
That's right. Do you declare this game guilty or not guilty of being so fucking awful?
Dense.
Guilty of being utter trash. Well, folks, I think that's really all there is to it. That's the whole thing. There's nothing more to say. Except perhaps one thing, which is that Phoenix Wright is versus Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright on the charge of being utter trash is guilty.
I gave it my all.
We will now burn the game. Just as all the witches were burned.
Don't worry, it's not actually gonna be burned.
Don't worry, even bad games need to be preserved so we can remember that we need to do better.
Yeah, but it is a ritualistic every year. That's why it's not burned, so it can be burned every year.
Yeah, so it can be burned every year. Yeah, we're burning the game, but it's actually just going through like a hole in the ground. And so it's being plopped into like a preservationist, like a good archivist thing. So don't worry, no one's actually getting hurt, except for the guy who killed himself, who was the father of one of the main characters, who did for real die, because of feeling so guilty about everything that happened, even though everything that happened was actually not that bad and nothing to worry about.
Oh right, yeah. It's like Belduke.
Yeah, Belduke. Remember? Anyway, we've already declared the game guilty. The game is trash, and
the game so badly wanted nobody to be dead. Like, I'm just thinking of no, what is the guard's name?
Burnham?
Blenheim? No.
Burnham?
Burnham.
Burnham? Burn them? You mean burn them?
Yeah. I just why did he get to survive? Like, I get it, the fit was great, but like, wow, why?
Well, Well, he didn't really do anything wrong. It was all fake.
So, yep,
Claire,
that's the game.
now that we are through with this, free
We're so free. We're free.
of this, we're taking, I think, probably next week we're taking off just to deal with the mental strain of this game that it had
Sure.
on us.
Yeah.
Also because of just general everything happening. Are we ready to announce our next Salty Spotlight?
We are, we announced what we were going back to, but we didn't announce the new thing.
Ah, right. We did announce what we're going back to, which, yes, we will, in fact, in 2 weeks, I think. Unless we do it next week. Yeah, 2 weeks. Let's do 2 weeks. Give ourselves a little bit of time. In 2 weeks, we will be returning to finish up the final epilogue section that was released.
2 or 3. Let's
2 or
say
3.
2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3 of In Stars and Time. A much better game than this one.
It's so much better that I'm not even wearing it. I have every piece of merch from that game, and they just announced new merch today.
Fuck yeah, love that for you.
You can get a Mirabelle plushie if you want, and
that's
an
cute.
Isabeau.
That's
yeah,
cute.
I'm probably gonna get both of them because I have a.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw this, but this has been back there the whole time.
Oh, it has. That's awesome. Oh,
Yeah,
I love that.
there was a Sifrin, but it sold out and it's not coming back, which I'm sad
Damn,
about. But
that's sad.
okay. Anyways, there's a whole ending with Loop that we didn't do.
So I'm very excited to do the ending with Loop.
Yeah.
I really am excited. That was probably one of my favorite characters of the game. So, I'm excited to go back to that. And I'm very, very excited to be done with this game.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for whatever bullshit we do next. But yeah, next week break, week after that in Stars and Time, then
Then we'll be doing an actual Salty Spotlight, just cause like
then we're doing like a full one. Then we'll go back into whatever shit ass game comes next, and maybe then we'll standardize a rating system we can do at the end. We'll find it out. Figure it out. Okay.
We know what the next Worst Foot Forward is. Do we know what the next Salty Spotlight is? We talked somewhat.
We talked about it. I don't know that we settled on it, but we talked about
it. Okay. Well, next time it's In Stars and Time.
In Stars and Time, The Return. Thanks for watching Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright versus Claire versus Brianna versus the video game versus
our sanity.
Our sanity versus Espella versus the storyteller versus Darklaw,
a good narrative
versus a good narrative versus
good narrative lost
versus good narrative lost. Thanks, everyone.
Good narrative was sentenced to jail.
Sentenced to death. Burn him. Burn him. Good night.
Okay, good night.